Okay, so I work from home normally. I would spend probably 1 or 2 days a week each week going out to different networking meetings, meeting with people. Quite a bit of my business is online anyway. So it's a real mixture of between me doing online stuff, working on my business and in my business, going out meeting people, networking, and I liked it. And yeah, Ruby likes it too. Um, and also as well from a home point of view, what's really what used to be like was Paul worked away from home every other week. So I'd have a week where I could just be totally on my own, focusing on my work and doing whatever, and then be more like wifing on the week in between. So work and wifing. And yeah, so what's changed has been the fact that I've had somebody here all the time, which I'm not used to. And obviously, the networking thing completely stopped. Nobody was having face to face meetings, no coffee meetings, just nothing. And I was really, really grateful that I'd got an online element to my business already. So I just sort of cracked on with that really. What else can I do? All the things I've not had time to do before that I've been wanting to do, and just got really creative those first couple of weeks or first couple of months. So yeah, so that's kind of the main differences for me. Not going out to meet people and just taking more stuff online. Really pleased, for technology and Zoom.
You've got quite a good business for that, I think, though, haven't you, really, in terms of being able to move more of it online?
I'm really glad I'd already done that. I've always had an online element to my work. I did my first online course. I did my first online course was November 2015. So I've always had an element of stuff online. And then what happened was last summer I had a client down in Bath, and it was a 4-hour drive. And I was supposed to be doing half a day with her on the Friday, half a day with her on the Saturday. And she paid for me to stay in a hotel overnight, paid my travel. She was quite happy to do that. And it's still a 4-hour drive. I got down there. We did the Friday afternoon, and she didn't look very well. You could tell she was a bit uncomfortable. Anyway, long story short, she ended up in hospital with pneumonia. And so then I'd been in my hotel and I couldn't finish off what I'd meant to do. And then obviously because she was poorly, she was quite weak for a long time with the after effects of being in hospital. So it meant that what we did, so in order to finish off the work, I said, well, let's see if we can do it online and do stuff over the over Zoom or whatever, and just do shorter periods, and you're not getting overtired. And that kind of worked really well. And I thought, oh, you know what, I can do this and offer it as a service, so I'm not restricted by geography. So I'm really, really pleased I'd done that, because otherwise I think I might have panicked. A lot of people went into panic, didn't they, and sort of like really sort of paralysis and didn't know what to do, whereas I sort of thought, oh, okay, I can just do a little bit more of this online stuff. And yeah, so I'm pleased. I was pleased about that. Yeah. The thing with shopping, Paul usually goes shopping when he's at home. He does the supermarket shop, and I only ever went to the supermarket on the week when he wasn't here. And there was one, just when it was all starting, we went out shopping together, and I felt a bit freaked out, and I was like, oh, I don't like this. And it was all a bit, ooh. And I remember getting a bit, we went Sainsbury's, and I was got a bit, and he was teasing me, and I got a bit tearful. I was in Sainsbury's, and I thought, oh, I said, I'm really not dealing with this very well. It's frightening me. I don't like it. And so, and then when we went into like the initial, like, oh, we're in lockdown, you can't go out, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I thought, oh, okay, well, we know the rules now. And I've got a few weeks where I can't go out, I'll just crack on. And then when I started to realise it was going to be longer and longer and it was kind of like, oh. And coping with, obviously, you've spoken to Paul about his dad dying and all of that. And the fact that he was already off work with low mood and, you know, struggling with all of that. I have my own mental health issues, or had, you know, touch wood. I've been drug free, managing my mental health for the last 5 or 6 years. So I was getting a bit worried. I'm thinking, oh, I hope I don't end up, you know, going down this spiral as well and ending up being, you know, not being able to cope and not being able to support him. I think that was my concern. And just the fact that I wasn't, because I am quite an extrovert person, and me, you know, I get my energy from being with other people, and all that had gone. So it was kind of, it was a bit weird in a way. It felt safe in some ways because we were indoors and everybody was indoors and there was nothing happening. But then on the other hand, it was a bit scary. Just thinking, when is all this going to end? So yeah, it's a lot of mixed emotions. Now I'm thinking about it, talking to you about it, Tracey. It's like proper mixed emotions. And I think I got to a point. One of the things I did, which was mad, because I know with my hair, I needed my hair cutting, and it's like my hair was just getting longer and longer and longer, and I was looking like Ken Dodd. And my work, because my work is, you know, my work is about helping people to look and feel good, using colour and clothes and image and stuff. And I've just got this fucking massive head of hair, and it was just like enormous. So I started experimenting with my hair. And also scarves. There was this thing right early on in the beginning of lockdown. Somebody had said something, oh, have you got any tips, you know, for us being on all these Zoom calls? And I said, well, scarves make a lot of difference to how you look. And I took this photograph. I got just a normal top on, plain top, and put a scarf on and took the scarf off. And it could make a difference. So then as a little project, what I decided to do, I thought, I've got loads of scarves. I wear them all the time. I'll wear a different one every day. I'll challenge myself to do, and I'd got about 32 scarves. I managed 32 days. And so then I'd got like a focus. I'd got something to plan my outfit, gave me a reason to get dressed and not just wear pyjamas, because I think a lot of people did that at first, didn't they? And just didn't get out of the pyjamas. And that can impact how you feel about yourself, your mental health and everything. So I was getting up, putting a scarf on, a different scarf. So I had to think about my outfit. And then I was taking a selfie and posting it on my social media. So I'd got this like little record of these 30 odd days of scarf selfies. And then what I ended up doing with that, I made it into an ebook and sold it for £5, just with a few other tips on how to tie different scarves in different ways and stuff. And donated 20% of the takings to the NHS, just as, and I think everybody was feeling like they needed to do something, didn't they? So like your project, that kind of feel like you need to do something that is just acknowledging what's going on, but not trying to get overwhelmed by it. And so yeah, so it's a bit weird now, because it's kind of like, this is it, isn't it? I think at first we thought there was going to be an end, like it would be like with lockdown, then we'd all go back to normal, and actually, yeah, normal in inverted commas. And now we're realising that it's not going to be like how it was pre-lockdown at all. So it's adjusting, and just managing that. I think, you know, managing mental health and trying to keep in touch with people, and all that stuff that we just took for granted is quite sobering, really. So yeah, and I'm really glad that, I'm not glad that Paul had depression, or I'm not glad that Paul's been furloughed, but I'm glad that I've had the company, because I think I could have been quite lonely, just me and the dog. You know,
She's making a presence now.
Absolutely, she is indeed. Despite everything that, you know, the unfortunate situation with his dad and everything, I'm glad that we've been able to be together, you know, because if he'd have been in London at work and then I'd have been here, and then all of a sudden, you can't travel, you can't, that would have been horrible, you know, really horrible. So yeah, I'm just glad that I've been able to, you know, we've been able to be together and I've been able to support him. It was weird when we had our first wedding anniversary. We were only a few weeks into lockdown then, and it was kind of like, well, we can't go anywhere, we can't do anything. So we had a bit, that was funny. We dressed up in our wedding outfits and took the dog for a walk.
I remember the picture.
Had some champagne and took the dog for a walk. Yeah, so you know we've sort of made the most of the situation really. We had a casino day as well, which was fun, where Paul fashioned a roulette wheel out of a salad spinner.
Pretty much sums you two up, I think.
Well, yeah, creative. We've been, it's what has been interesting though, saying all that about seeing people and things. Our social life hasn't been that different, to be honest. 'Cause my work life's been different, but social life, it's not been that majorly different really. We've probably drank more gin and rum than normal, but
the quizzes were great.
Yeah, we did yeah, that was fun. Yeah, they sort of petered out though. But yeah, Saturday night quiz night, taking it in turns. Yeah, so I think there were a lot of people doing quizzes, weren't there? And I don't know whether people still are, but it's like, we invited people and they were like, oh no, we can't come to your quiz because we're doing this quiz. And it was kind of like the thing, wasn't it? The quizzes were the thing at the time. So, yeah, and the clapping for carers and all that seems so long ago now.
And I just wondered if you had that to start with. It's like in the midst of us going into lockdown, were people thinking about the way they looked, and so did that impact on you?
There was a little bit of, yeah, I think the thing is with my work, there's a perception from people who don't know how I work and how I actually approach the business that I do. There's a perception that it's a bit sort of shallow and superficial and that it's a bit all about how you look, and it isn't. But also even, so my business is about basically helping people feel better. So it's kind of, but I use and confidence, but using colour and clothes to do that. So there was an element of, what do I post? What do I say? Do I need to be sensitive to what is going on? But also as well, I need to sort of keep people's spirits up in a way. I had a lot of messages actually from people saying, oh, I'm loving seeing your posts every day. You're really giving me something to think about, to look forward to. And there's a lot of psychology as well, like I've touched on the thing about wearing pyjamas and stuff. And there's been research done about people wearing the pyjamas, working from home, and how it can impact on how you feel. And clothes absolutely do make you feel different. You can put clothes on and, have a power outfit. People have got, I posted about this the other day on LinkedIn, have you got something that makes you feel good? And everybody's got something that, makes them feel good. So it was kind of looking at how I could post things that were relevant to my business, but also acknowledging the time that we were in as well. And there's just that whole thing. It's kind of like there was a lot of stuff about people asking me questions about, for Zoom calls and standing out on Zoom calls, and how do you make yourself look better, and a lot of it is lighting, and as you all know. But just things like wearing something around your portrait area, sort of, which is, and stuff like that. So I was kind of focusing on things that were relevant. I usually plan ahead of what I'm going to post. And it was kind of like this, you're thinking, oh, this isn't really that relevant now. So I totally get what your friend's saying about her business. So yeah, it was about being mindful of putting yourself in that, how will this be perceived by my audience, if you like, people who know me, people who get me, but also there's obviously you're in a public forum when you're putting things on social media, so it's about being sensitive as well to not just talking about stuff that it's totally irrelevant. So I think for me, a lot of my work is about helping people feel better. And because I've got that background with the mental health, and I know certainly that my self-esteem, my self-image, at one point, a long time ago now, but I was really low and couldn't even look at myself in the mirror for a long time, which is a big part of the reason why I do what I do now, to help people just boost their mood, feel more confident, and you can do it with clothes. So it's kind of just acknowledging that there's all that stuff. It's not just about what you wear. Clothes are not about just covering your body. It's sending out messages, about yourself, how you want to be, you can affect how you're perceived by other people, but also yourself as well, how you feel about yourself. So there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, it was like, oh, what do I have to? So yeah, it's like soul searching really when you're thinking about what to put out there, especially if you're doing it every day, which I do. So yeah, it's interesting. I started writing because so every night I journal, but very sporadically, and I at some point I thought I'm gonna write about this experience, because in years to come, this is like it's a worldwide thing, and we're in the middle of history, and it's a massive worldwide stuff. So just and think, looking back now, probably if I read stuff I'd written 2 or 3 months ago, it'd be quite different to the kind of things I'd be writing now, because it's more like the norm now. We're all sort of in our stride a little bit, aren't we? We've found our feet a bit, where at first it was like everything was just thrown up into the air, and we were all like, shit, and there was that panicky sort of feeling. Whereas it's a bit calmer now. There's still that sense of anxiety, I think, and panic, and that fear of the unknown that comes out, and but it's a little bit more settled than it was. But I think I don't watch the news either, and I've even stopped listening to the radio. So I used to always work with the radio on all day, every day, and just get the snippets of news every hour. And the last couple of months I've not even, because I just thought I could feel myself getting quite panicky about stuff. I thought, I don't want to know. I'm just going to live in my little bubble, because I'm just at home. I'm not going out. I'm not going anywhere. Paul's going shopping. I don't even need to think about that. I can just keep myself on track just by just ignoring. I don't need to absorb what's going on beyond these four walls, really. And I think that's helped me stay mentally stable, I think.
You could never be described as mentally stable.
And people sort of the disagreements with how people were behaving, even with the friends, and all that anger coming out and stuff. And I was just thinking, we don't need any more stirring up of stuff. And I've not watched the news for years anyway. I stopped watching the news 6-7 years ago. Yeah, so yeah, I've not even been listening to the radio, so I haven't got a clue what's going on.
Happy days, I would say.
In my gin-soaked bubble.
Yeah. I could think of worse things.
I not resigned myself is not the right phrase, because it's not a negative thing. I think what it has done for me is consolidated that business has to change. Businesses can't go just flip back to exactly how they were. Everybody's, all the places are opening back up again, pubs and restaurants and things, aren't they? But with restrictions in place and so on and so forth. And I think I have started networking online. So one of my mentors, who runs a national networking company, very quickly started offering online meetings, and I went into the online world because I did a few weeks where I didn't do any networking, and went into the online stuff and really enjoyed it. So what it has meant is that there aren't any boundaries anymore with people. Geography isn't an issue. So I've been talking to people all over the country on a weekly basis, and they're getting to know about me and my business. And also I've developed online stuff, so that the stuff that I'd already got, I've fine-tuned it, and I'm quite happy with how things are working.
Sorry. I'm trying to style this out. Can you tell?
I know, you can tell you tried to style it out. Get hold of her. But yeah, it's that. Anybody who can't see it, the dog's trying to snog Tracey. So it's kind of like I've not resigned myself, that's the wrong phrase, like I said, but just accepting that this is for the time being. Online is the way for me. I'm quite happy having, I've had meetings all morning this morning with different people. I've spoken to a lady in Ireland. I've spoken to a group of people who were dotted around, and it works. It's because we've got the technology, and it's kind of, somebody said, oh, you're interested in going back out and doing stuff. I'm thinking, not really, not with the restrictions and things that are in place. It doesn't feel right, and I can cope with it how it is. I've got a client specifically who's waiting for me to be doing like one-to-one consultations again, and the guidelines are the same as the beauty industry, so it's masks and this and that and the other. I can't do it. If you've got a mask over your face, I can't do a colour analysis or any advise you on makeup or anything if you've got a mask on. So it's just not worth it. I'm just going to stick with. I'm going to style it out, as you just said. Style it out with the technology. Hope my internet connection remains stable, and stick in my little colourful pink and colourful bubble.
Yeah, I was just thinking, that eyeshadow goes great with your face mask.
Yeah,
that's kind of.
Well, it's interesting. I have done some posts about face masks. Are they a fashion accessory? Are you wearing them to match your outfit? And because I certainly couldn't wear one that didn't match my outfit.
Well, this has actually led to an interesting question, really. Do you have any tips for people out there that do need to wear masks? What would you say to them?
Well, from my point of view, have a few so they can, or go with something plain and neutral so it matches everything. If you're worried about it matching your outfit, I made some for Paul with flames on, so he's got some that are just that look so they look the part. Going to make him one that's more like a what they called it, like a bandana kind of thing to cover his beard up, because his beard keeps getting squashed under it. But I think there's a whole new business out there, isn't there? Because face masks are not going away. We're going to be wearing them for a long time, certainly in public, and I think we're going to see adornments, and people are going to get creative. We've already seen a lot of creative ones, but I think it's going to become like an accessory in the same way that we choose our glasses, that we choose our clothes. It's kind of your face mask will say something about you and who you are and the kind of person you are and the image you want to portray. We'll have logoed ones. There'll be some.
Already seen those.
Yeah, have you? Yeah. So I think it's going to be big business, absolutely. But I think we'll have designer ones as well. That's there'll be the Louis Vuitton and Hugo Boss, and people are. I'm not having a commoner garden mask. So there'll be that'll be happening. If it's not already, it might already be happening. No, I don't think so.
We need to put Ruby in shot.
Come on, just be careful with it. She's a bit. Come on.
She has been right, Ruby. There you go, Ruby. Smile,
Are you there?
so everyone knows who it's been. That's.